Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy, and welcome to a New Year's Q&A. We're going to get this party started, so let me go see if I can get the sound turned off first, because otherwise it'll just explode. But yeah, anyway, so here we go. We're kicking off. This is the first Q&A of 2017. It also happens to be the first day of 2017, so the viewers are beginning to creep on in. So let's get this started. Got some questions already posted. So Charlie says, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to you too, man. On your cheat day, Charlie asks, on your cheat day video that you did a few weeks ago with the donuts, pizza, cake, how many calories was that? I actually don't count my calories on my cheat days. I don't even really call them cheat days. I call them refeed days. I don't count my calories on those refeed days. The only thing that I pay attention to is ensuring that my protein needs are actually met. So I will count my protein intake throughout the day, but beyond protein, I don't count the calories, I don't count the fat, and I don't count the carbohydrates. And I only do it for that 8-hour period. You can go as low as 6 as well. Just to be able, basically what I do is I eat, and then if I feel full, I'll stop. And I don't stuff myself. So I go to the point where I feel like, okay, I feel fine. I had enough food. I feel full. I'll rest for like an hour, hour and a half or so, pick up again and keep doing that and just repeat that. Now, granted, with each feeding that I do get full faster. So I don't necessarily it's not always the same size every time I sit down. So maybe the first time I sit down, I'll have some candy. I might have some like vegan donuts or something. A few vegan donuts and a couple packs of candy. The second time I sit down, I might only get like one donut or like a slice of cake because I just feel so full from the last time that it tops off faster. And I'll repeat that throughout, the 6 to 8 hour period. And it helps with things like I only do it when I'm ketogenic. I don't do it otherwise. It helps for things like restoring glycogen for the week ahead. It helps with things like reducing cortisol levels, because being keto for too long, which is why I don't like straight keto unless you have a medical reason to do it, can affect your cortisol, can raise your cortisol. Carbs actually have been shown to lower cortisol. So those are a couple of the reasons why I do incorporate the weekly refeed day when I'm ketogenic. And that's really it. And I'm in a sharp enough deficit the rest of the week that it doesn't seem to affect me. Like I don't gain weight from those weekly refeeds while I'm doing keto. When I don't do keto, if I do weekly cheat meals or days, I tend to stall. So, but it doesn't seem to happen with keto. It could be because it's a combination of the low calories as well as being so glycogen depleted. It's probably a combination of the two. Anyway, let's move along to the questions because they're scrolling on pretty fast now. Got a lot coming. Happy New Year, says Johnny Leather. Happy New Year's to you as well. Yeah, it's a refeed. Like Fang Lord said, it's not a cheat day, it's a refeed day. Although, I guess people would call it a cheat day because I do eat things like donuts and cookies. I eat dense foods on those days, things that I guess I have a craving for to some degree. But I suppose you can call it a cheat day, but it is timed. It is used for a specific purpose. It's not just because, hey, I want cake. So, I don't really consider it like a cheat day, I guess. And like I said, I don't do it when I'm not keto. Cory, I want to start working out, but I have a crazy schedule. I don't have the time to work I work 12 hours and 6 days a week. Are you telling me there's no, so you work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Can you even squeeze a half an hour and maybe get some weights for your house or something? Like get some basic adjustable dumbbells and a pull-up bar and do a basic home workout. I mean, even over at the Vegan Muscle Academy where my clients go, it's like I said, it's an online training thing where you work with me. I have home workout programs that are basic as fuck. All you really need are like bands, some adjustable dumbbells up to like 100 pounds per arm, and a pull-up bar that you can put in a door frame. All things that I have here, all it can cost you maybe about $300 altogether, and you can get a really decent home workout that way. And you don't even leave your house, so maybe that's something to consider. Just 30, 45 minutes a day. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's the way I see it. Did I go to Times Square on New Year's Eve? I avoid Times Square like the plague. being that I've lived in this city for so long, I know. In fact, I avoid Times Square when I'm during the regular days, like not even just during the festive days, but I avoid Times Square at all costs because it's a tourist trap. You know, I just don't like, it's so packed, it's so crowded. People don't know how to navigate. So what they'll do is they'll just stop dead in front of you. New Yorkers, we tend to walk with a purpose. We have somewhere to be. We just need to get where we need to go. And someone suddenly just stops dead in front of us and like starts staring up. And like they do it in big groups because they're tourists. It blocks foot traffic. And it can happen so fast sometimes you accidentally bump into somebody and then they give you a shitty look. I avoid Times Square because I just don't like the vibe of Times Square. There's nothing real. I mean, it's one of those kind of things that once you've seen it and you've seen the bright lights at night, you know, it doesn't have much else to offer. All the stores in Times Square are very touristy anyway. They're like souvenir shops and chain stores you find in the rest of America. It's not really the heart of New York. Anyway, would you recommend doing push-ups every day? I don't see where that would be a problem, but if you find that it's hindering your ability, like if you're getting such bad DOMs that you can't push yourself on your actual benching day, that might be a problem. Or if it's affecting your overhead press or whatever, as long as it's not affecting, I do pull-ups every day and it doesn't affect my back work, but you know, different people, different reactions. So you can give it a try and see how it goes. Hi, what do you think of lentils? Is it good for daily use? Yeah, lentils are great. I think they're great, and they're high in iron. They're relatively high in protein. They're a great bodybuilding food for a vegan. On resting days, how many calories do you consume? Well, it all depends. Like, I mean, if I'm trying to cut or if I'm trying to gain muscle, I don't like the bulk anymore. I like to do recomps. So typically my calories kind of really stay the same. So with a recomp, I might push down to about like, you know, a couple hundred below maintenance on rest days. I might go at maintenance on training days. Or sometimes I might just stay a couple hundred calories, 250 calories below maintenance every day. But sometimes if I feel like I want a little more food on my training days, I might throw in some extra fruit or something or some extra sweet potatoes. And I'll do that and push myself to like maintenance calories, basically, for that day. That's if I'm trying to recomp. If I'm trying to cut, I tend to stay, like with keto, for instance, I will stay low 6 days out of 7 and then have that refeed day. So my calories kind of remain the same. You know, I don't really cycle them too much. What are my thoughts on Bitcoin? I don't really have any thoughts. I've never used it. You know, I don't have any thoughts on it, so I don't know what to say. I was a VMA subscriber. I needed to update my credit card, and it wouldn't let me log in to do that. Then my subscription was auto-canceled, and I never heard back when I emailed you. I can't log in to fix it. Oh, Christine, I'm sorry. It might have been one of the times you might have emailed when my tech was away. I have a tech that does handle all the emails. I will let her know. Write an email to me at Cory. It's Cory at veganmuscleacademy.com, and I'll ensure that she gets it. Feeding, the feeding begins. Okay. Can I get bromelain from food aside from pineapple? I think it's in bananas, or I'd read at one point that it's in bananas, but don't quote me on that. I think it might be a very minuscule amount in bananas. But I believe pineapple is like the source for bromelain. You can also use a bromelain supplement if you want as well. Do you take beetroot powder before and after a workout? I take it just before. I take it once a day on workout days only, about an hour, 45 minutes prior to lifting. That's it. So anyway, shin and fist conditioning. Sorry, I had to block somebody who has made an announcement. They're a repeat troll, and I blocked them because they just keep coming back. So I'll just keep blocking them. Shin and fist conditioning, good or not? Yeah, it's great. Actually, this is what Muay Thai and karate fighters do. They condition those body parts to take damage. Karate fighters do knuckle push-ups. They punch the heavy bag without gloves. You can work yourself up to that, obviously. Start with gloves. You're going to hurt yourself. So start with gloves and work yourself up to doing bag and pad training without gloves. Climbing upstairs with their knuckles, and their partner will hold their feet. But like makiwara boards, another way. The Thai fighters, they'll kick like, you know, poles, like wooden poles. They might kick bats. They might, and they, of course, they work their way up with that as well. Now, I'm not a Thai fighter. I'm just going by things that I've heard my friends that do Muay Thai and what they've done. In Kyokushin, we kick hard surfaces with our shins to condition them as well. Like we'll hit like boards, we'll hit bats, we'll hit the pads, the heavy bag, and we start with like shin guards and then work up to nothing to build that conditioning there. And of course, just by checking kicks all the time, you're going to build up conditioning in your shin as well. And also just kicking other people, you're going to build up conditioning in your shin. Having your kicks checked, and at first it's going to hurt. You're going to have a swollen, inflamed leg with bruises, but in time, it won't affect you as much. Happy New Year's, buddy. You're eating candy as part of your nutrition plan? No, not. Don't get me wrong. I eat candy on my like refeed day because it's a quick source of glucose. I'll eat like glucose-rich candy, organic shit. I'll get it from the Whole Foods market, and I'll have that on my refeeds. They usually kick off with a couple packs of candy, but it's not part of my normal meal plan. My normal meal plan when I have carbs is usually sourced from fruit, pretty heavily from fruit, and occasionally from like sweet potatoes and things like that. Cory, I'm worried about the copper toxicity on a vegan diet. What can I do? Some foods are higher in copper than other foods. So what I would do is, if it's really a concern of yours, look up the foods that are higher in copper, like on Google. I don't know them off the top of my head. And I believe some nuts and seeds are. Like, for instance, I think Brazil nuts or walnuts are pretty high in copper. But you can look it up online. You can get it on Google. You can look up like lists of like the highest foods with copper content, and just try to minimize those. And and just eat a variety of foods. Don't stick to one kind of food. Eat a variety of foods. Like when I say eat a whole food plant-based diet, eat a variety. Don't just get from one source. Even when you're eating beans, you can have soybeans, you can have black beans, you can have pinto beans. Sometimes you can have like wheat gluten if you don't have an intolerance to that, or there's so many options. And even with vegetables, like you can have greens like broccoli, like spinach, like kale. You can do colorful vegetables like your peppers, and you can have onions, and add a variety to your diet. Don't stick to just one little food. That's the only downside of keto, is it's very limiting in your options. So you kind of have to stick to one, sort of small list of foods that are acceptable. Cory, have you heard of Misha Janik? I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. The name sounds familiar, but I'm not familiar with what the person does. I imagine they're probably in the fitness world if you're bringing it up here. What's the average sugar intake? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean the average for health? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Is brown bread better than white bread? There's people who say like that, whole wheat bread, brown bread is better, or rye bread or things like that are better than like a white bread. But I don't really. I guess it's the bleaching process that's led to this kind of thing. But like, you can get things from Whole Foods market that don't use bleach in their breads. I really don't care. If I want a bread, I'm going to get whatever kind of bread's nearby that's gluten free. Because I get an upset stomach from gluten. But I really. It's the same with the brown rice, white rice thing. I eat white rice. I've eaten brown rice. I actually prefer white rice. I guess, still a matter of personal taste. What foods do you eat that keep you full throughout the day? I would recommend, protein and fat foods, fattening foods, and fat-filled foods and protein foods. They are the ones, foods rich in those macronutrients are going to be the most filling for you throughout a day's time. I find that, for instance, with keto diet, I have much better satiety than I do on a non-keto diet, likely due to the higher fat content along with the protein content. Carbohydrates for me don't really fill me up. I've just found that, and research has found this too, survey-based research has found that people just report better satiety on higher fat diets. So, you don't have to go overboard. You don't have to necessarily eat keto. But if you find that you feel more satiated and with a little more fat in your diet, maybe push your fat to 25 to 30% of your maintenance calories as opposed to just 20. I never recommend below 20. Cory, do you think amino acid supplements are useless? It depends. It really depends. I find that amino acid supplements are useful, especially during a cut. I think that for vegans, and this is a real specific thing here, vegans, they are more important. There has been research, and this is something that I use with my own, with my clients, the Vegan Muscle Academy. There has been research that shows that vegans who supplement with like a BCAA or an EAA throughout the day between meals have a doubled protein synthesis rate than the vegans that don't. It's good, I think, to, like, I guess what some people would call it, like leucine feeding, or suppose for vegans, like or adding leucine to your meals. It's something worth doing. Definitely when you're in a cut, I find, or if your protein intake's a little lower than you normally do, I would throw in some BCAAs. I throw them in during my cuts, especially. But also, after reading that research, I do include them between meals, EAAs between meals, a couple times during the day, like between my morning meal and my first meal, rather, because I don't really eat breakfast at the normal breakfast time. So usually it'll be like late morning, early afternoon. Then I'll have a meal between that and my late afternoon snack. Then I'll have another EAA dosing between my workout and my dinner, or right before dinner. I'll throw it in there as well. That's how I do it. But for people who aren't vegan, or people who are bulky and getting plenty of protein, it's probably not as necessary. So look at it that way. Can you recommend any books for an aspiring personal trainer? You can check out any book by Brad Schoenfeld or books by Brett Contreras. Both of them are sports scientists and have some pretty informative sports science out there. Let's see here. When is the ebook coming out, Cory? I'm actually getting that prepared now. I've been getting some photography done for it. And I'm putting it together today and tomorrow, more of it together. I have a lot of it drafted, but the full book, it all depends on when Amazon or whoever I decide to go with. It's not going to be an ebook, actually. It's actually decided it's going to be an actual book. But there probably, if I go through Amazon, there probably will be a Kindle version. So you can expect that to be coming hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so. I don't have a precise date in it yet, but of course I will alert you guys. It is going to be the definitive arm training book for people who don't take drugs. Look, there's so many books out there about how to grow your arms, how to grow your body, et cetera, et cetera. But the author, like for instance, Steve Weatherford has one, but he's a professional football player. The likelihood that he's taken drugs during his career is incredibly high. I don't write programs, I don't write diets for people who are drug users. I'm not saying that drug users can't use what I write, but I write with a natural in mind because I don't take drugs. So I write with that in mind, somebody who is a natural and wants to optimize their results as a natural using science. This will be the ultimate arm training book for naturals based on science. Every piece of advice that I'm putting into it that makes the program a whole program is going to be with naturals in mind. I don't look at research with drug users in it. So anyway, and vegan t-shirts and tank tops, that'll be to come as well. That's actually, to me, secondary to the first book that I'm releasing. So I'm probably going to do the first book. I'll do some t-shirts and tank tops. Then there'll be a second book eventually, and possibly a third book. There's a few things that I have in the works, so that'll all be to come. And of course, I will alert you guys to all of that. And if you sign up for my my free protein PDF below in the description, sorry, it's so dry here. The air is. You can get on my mailing list, and of course, I'll let you guys know the updates there too. Okay. Why beetroot? Just started eating ginger, as it should relieve muscle soreness, but what does beetroot benefit? Beetroot's been shown to increase strength. Beetroot contains nitrates, so there's a better pump. Because it leads to better nitric oxide production in your body. They've shown that people who take beetroot have better endurance. They can train for longer. They're stronger. They're faster. It really works it's actually considered like a form of doping, natural doping for endurance athletes even. It's got a lot of benefits. I mean, and beets are just healthy in general. They're good for your blood flow. So there's nothing, I use it instead of coffee because it helps me out kind of in the way coffee did in the strength and endurance department. but without the without basically taxing, I guess, my my nervous system with all that coffee. I just don't want to keep. I do have coffee every day, but I don't want to down it all the time. Even though I don't have an effect from it, I do worry about what the long-term effects will be if I'm drinking it like every couple of hours and slamming back shit tons before my workout. So I just stick to maybe a couple glasses in the morning, and that's it. Do you recommend reverse dieting after a cut? How much weight can you pack on just by bulking again, water, glycogen, etc.? Really depends on the person. Some people store weight faster than others, like fat, water. They store it harder than others. Like I, for instance, myself, I put on weight really quickly, fat and muscle. I also hold water really easily. It's just how it is. Like I guess I'm more endomorphic in that sense, even though I don't like those somatotypes. They've been kind of proven to be wrong. So it really depends on the person. I don't recommend bulking. I even have my clients do recomps, or at the very most, very, very modest surpluses, like 10%, 20% over their maintenance, until they're gaining a very steady and modest amount of weight per week. Not so much that it would be predominantly fat, because there comes to a point where you're going to gain more fat than obviously you will muscle. It's easier to put on fat than muscle. So it really depends on the person. No diet is one size fits all, which is why you have to tweak and tweak and tweak until you find that sweet spot for you. I'm doing sugar-free except for fruit. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, fruit's great. Like I only really take in sugar during my refeed. Like I'll have candy during my refeed. When I'm eating carbs, I might have some dextrose in my post-workout shake, but I mostly get it from fruit, like cherries, bananas, other berries. Like I also get like starches from like, potatoes. Do I like rap? I'm not really a big fan of rap. I'm not a big fan of country. I like, rock, blues, heavy metal, specifically more like symphonic and progressive type stuff, like progressive rock, progressive metal, symphonic rock. Think bands like Nightwish, bands like Camelot, Porcupine Tree, Riverside, the Polish band, because I believe there's also another Riverside from California as well. Some other band that's not related. I like a lot of that kind of stuff. That more sort of, I guess it's a little more bombastic. I guess it's longer songs. Virtuosity guitar solos, that sort of thing. Not really into rap or even country music. I don't. Those are the two genres I don't really listen to very much. Although I did like some Johnny Cash, I guess, and some would consider him country. What's your take on plant protein being incomplete due to a lack of amino acids? It really depends on which plant protein source you're talking about. If you're eating a variety of protein sources, you don't have to worry about that so much. And soy actually has a better amino profile than beef. So there are plant sources that are incredibly, high in amino acid content, like soy, for instance. Things like pea protein, I believe pea is really high in like arginine, but it's like low in lysine, or maybe that's rice that's like that. One or the other, but when you combine pea and rice, the one's shortcoming is actually improved by the other one. So this is why a lot of vegan protein blends contain both pea and rice, and possibly something else. But if you're eating a variety of protein during the day, I really wouldn't worry yourself over, what's complete, what's incomplete. And if you supplement with some BCAAs, and there are plant-based BCAAs out there, you're fortifying your meals anyway with amino acids. It's one way that has been shown in research to work very well for vegans trying to gain muscle. Can too much sleep be detrimental? I think too much of anything can be detrimental. I mean, like, I know that if I oversleep, I tend to feel groggier than I do if I just get like between 8 and 10 hours. So, it all depends. Go with what you need, don't just lay around in bed. Once you feel like you're able and ready to get up, and you've had ample enough sleep and you feel ready to start the day, get up and go. Unless you have to be somewhere and then you're on the alarm clock, and then you got to shift your bedtime hours to match up to when you're forced to wake up for like work or for an event or whatever. Alfie asks again, can you recommend any fitness books for aspiring personal trainer? I said before, as I said before, like Brad Schoenfeld, Brett Contreras, they have some really great sports science books out there. Look into those on Amazon. Yeah, Misha competes in a natural bodybuilding and he's vegan. Oh, okay, I'll have to check him out. I've never heard of him. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube, so if he's a YouTuber or something, I guess I'm not too familiar. And I don't really follow bodybuilding or any of those competitions as I once did, say in like 2012 or 13. It was probably the last time that I really followed bodybuilding contests. I just kind of got bored of it. Now I mostly train for fun, for health, to be a better person, like stronger, better all around, have a better and more fit and more able life. I don't really follow the contests anymore, so that's probably why I don't know who he is. I don't even know who a lot of the new fitness models are. Let's see here. Cory, do you have a Snapchat? No, I don't have Snapchat. Cory, how did you and Tara meet? Tara and I met actually through a fitness, like a mutual, like it was a forum actually. It actually was online, to be honest. We met in on a nutrition forum a long time ago, long time ago. But we didn't start dating right away. Like we didn't actually start dating until I visited the UK. But yeah, we met online actually through a mutual interest type group. And I've said this before to people, like, you know, you never know where you might meet somebody who's going to be right for you. You know, you don't know if it could be, you know, at work. The problem is I have a real thing. When I would work jobs, I don't. Never in my past jobs where I would not socialize with people who I'm working with. That was just a rule that I always had for myself because it always leads to drama. So I would never do that until after I left the job, and then I would connect with these kinds of people on a more social basis. But you never know where you might meet somebody. But I find the best places to meet people are through mutual interest type situations. Like maybe you go to a church or you're some sort of a religious affiliation or a temple or whatever, and there's somebody there you meet. Or maybe you're part of a martial arts school and you meet a girl or a guy there. Maybe you're taking pottery classes or painting classes and you meet somebody there, or in college. These are ways you can meet people. And even online, you know, there's so many different forums. And a lot of people say they want to meet a vegan girl or guy. Well, one way to do that might be online. Maybe your area has a deficit of vegans. So the best way to meet people would be to explore the internet, because I'm a firm believer that why limit yourself to one little scope of an area that you're living in? We're in the information age. Broaden that, like sweep outward. Your significant other, your future significant other might be living in a totally different country, you know, and you might be missing that opportunity by keeping yourself so narrow focused. Sorry, I kind of drew that out, but it's a tip that I think is good for everyone to hear, because I find that you know, more and more people are meeting people through dating services, through mutual interest groups online than they ever were before. Anyway, you have said several times that vegans can get mental benefits from supplementing a certain product that is only available in meat. I don't remember the name right now. It's because they lack it, or because they are vegans and can use it more efficiently. I don't know the exact reason. All I have is a theory on this. It's creatine. Creatine isn't just found in meat. It's actually 3 amino acids that are bound together. Your body can create creatine from getting enough protein in your diet, even as a vegan. However, there is a large amount of creatine, you know, or creatine promoting content like aminos in meat, that meat eaters tend to have a higher concentration of creatine in their systems than vegans. So that might be the reason why supplementing creatine gives that edge to vegans and vegetarians that meat eaters don't get. But it's also interesting because I believe in the same study, it showed that meat eaters actually didn't have the cognitive prowess of vegans and vegetarians that supplement creatine, which is interesting because they're getting creatine from diet, but they're not able to match the vegans and vegetarians that are supplementing it. That tells me there might be something else to it. Maybe the way our bodies more readily process it, perhaps it's in a supplement form, it's easier, I don't know, more bioavailable, I don't know. But whatever the case is, the research is clear that creatine, even just 2.5 grams a day, does improve the cognitive abilities free, reaction times, vegetarians. Where's Hammering Hank? I don't know. Being the new year, maybe he's, I don't know, with family or something. Haven't seen Hank in the chat. I think he said 2 weeks ago he might miss some Q&As. Yeah, I say he's probably with family. These are the holiday weekends. So why am I struggling with gaining strength using basic 5x5 workout program? Is it because strength isn't linear and it goes more in phases? It can be, or it could be that you're not, you know, it could be you're not eating enough. It could be, I hate to say it, it could be a bit genetic. Some people just are more prone to gaining strength faster than others. It could be your form is a little off. There's so many things it could be. Like if you're using bad form on a main lift, that can hold back your strength. Maybe you're not driving properly with the bench press or with the squat. You know, there could be any number of reasons for it. You know, so look into your form, look at your diet. How's your fat content? And are you really pushing yourself? I mean, not to the point of injury, but when you get in there, are you really pushing as hard as you can go? In other words, if you're getting 5 reps with something, could you have really gotten 6? Like, think about that. Are you really being honest with how many reps you're getting? So give that some thought too. You've got to push yourself. You've really got to work hard. I consider the gym, like, you know, it is work. It is definitely work. That's why I always shake my head at people who are texting in the gym or reading something on their phones or doing more socializing than work. I mean, I look at the gym as being a place where you go to work. I'm not saying that any of those fit you, but maybe one of these things will resonate with you and it might help you improve on your lifts. Let's see here. Cory, do you think a lean bulk is good? By lean bulk, I would assume that you mean having like a very slight surplus. Yeah, I mean, if you do want to go into a surplus, that's one way to do it. You can gain some muscle, and that will be slower by doing a recomp, which is where you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. And that's really by virtue of how much protein you eat and where you place your calories. Really, the two big factors the research seems to show for that to be successful is protein and calories. So you got to have the calories right, where by virtue of exercise, you are going to enter into a deficit, or you're in a very slight deficit below maintenance, or you've got to have your protein, or I would say you got to have your protein relatively high. It's definitely shown that higher protein is good for body composition. So, what protein powder do you take? I take a personalized blend. If you look down in the link, actually, there's a free PDF. You can download that free PDF by clicking on that link. That explains all my protein recipes. I use a online generator at truenutrition.com that allows you to do your own custom protein blends. And one of the ones that I use is soy, pea, and rice. Those are the 3 primary ingredients in it. And you can use the at checkout. If you use True Nutrition at checkout, you can use VegNut, VEGNUT 100, and get 5% off. That is my affiliate code. Black rice also has a nice protein content, 8.9 grams per 100 grams of black rice. This is one reason I like it. So beans and rice will be really high in protein. It will provide complete proteins. Yes, true. I mean, get it from a variety of sources. There's so many vegan sources of protein that this really shouldn't even be an issue. You know, I say, you know, add a lot of variety, especially if you're eating carbohydrates. If you're ketogenic, it's a little more difficult. But if you're eating carbohydrates, you have so many options available to you. Hey, Cory, I found a great Taekwondo dojo. It's a lot of full contact sparring, but they have less than the basic weights. I don't know if I should leave my actual gym where there are no martial artists. Why not train at the Taekwondo school and lift weights in your current gym? That's what I never trained weights in the same place that I was training martial arts, ever. None of my dojos had weight rooms. So I would always do weight training on my own at my gym, and I go to a dojo to train the martial arts, and I would cross train that way. So you don't have to have it all in one place. But if you found a dojo, or in this case it's Korean, it'd be dojang. It does full contact sparring. That's awesome, especially Taekwondo, because Taekwondo can be effective if it's taught right. any martial art will be effective if it's taught right. And sparring is a very important part of training in the martial arts. What are the eggs and milk in vegan baking? Well, with egg, that's really a binding ingredient. So you can find egg replacers. Some people use even bananas as an egg replacer, but that won't work in every recipe. There's a brand I use called Energy. It's ENER-G. And that is it's like a tapioca starch and a number of things. It's a blend that you can use in place of an egg. You mix it with some water and you stir it up, and it makes like a white paste. And you dump that into whatever you're baking and your recipe, and you stir it up into the ingredients, and you can use it as an egg replacer. As for milk, rice milk, coconut milk, soy milk, almond milk, whatever you prefer. When it comes to baking, I tend to like to use rice or coconut milk personally. It's just my personal preference. Cory, I just started lifting, and I have realized that I have a muscular imbalance in my arms. One is 60% stronger than the other for some reason. When I lift, I can feel my stronger arm doing, it continues below, doing more of the work and getting a better workout. I don't want to continue lifting before fixing this because I don't want to exacerbate the problem. I'm afraid that if I do unilateral exercises on the weaker arm, it will hit its initial plateau at a different level of strength than the other one. What should you do? My advice would be do extra sets for the weaker arm on a different day. If it's really genuinely that much weaker. For instance, let's say that you're doing arms 2 times a week, which I recommend training everything directly 2 times a week if you're looking for general growth. At least 2 times a week. 3 times is great too. But let's say that you're doing arms, you're doing biceps on your pool day, and you're doing biceps again on your second pool day. What you can do is maybe throw in some extra biceps work on one of your lower body days. Just for that arm. Get 1 dumbbell and do a couple sets, or a few sets for that arm with maybe some concentration curls or some standing dumbbell curls, something like that. Just give it a little extra work. Try to get its strength up a little more, a little extra work in the other arm. But don't go too far with it. When you find, let's say that you're curling with 35s with one arm, but you're at like 25s with the other arm or something. When you get to the point where both arms are at 35s, go back to working both arms together at the same time. But you might want to continue sticking with dumbbells over barbells just to be able to give yourself that continual effort required from both arms to make sure both arms are putting in their work. Maybe start out with something like chin-ups or something, like a big compound using both arms, or curls, barbell curls. But then, have the rest of your exercises like, your incline curls or seated dumbbell curls or just dumbbell curls or concentration curls, 1-arm preacher curls, whatever. Be unilateral. Finish the arm off, the biceps off unilaterally. And same thing with triceps. Maybe start out with like dips or close grip press, but then do your extensions with dumbbells. And then do 1-arm pushdowns, like maybe 1-arm row pushdowns, 1-arm reverse grip pushdowns, dumbbell kickbacks, things like that. These are all things you can do to ensure that both arms are pulling or pushing their own weight. That's something you could try to do and see if that helps you. That would be my best advice, is throw a little extra work in for that weaker arm and give it a chance to try to catch up, prioritize it just a little bit. But when it catches up, return to doing them both at the same time and cut back on the volume, keep it equal. You don't want to develop the opposite problem. So anyway, let's move along here. I eat roughly 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, mostly fruit, rice, potatoes, beans, oatmeal, and I don't seem to be gaining strength as fast. By the way, I don't gain weight on this diet either, McDougall. I don't recommend the McDougall diet. Your fat is way too low. If you're having a problem gaining strength, increase your fat. Fat intake below 20% of your maintenance calories has been shown in both males and females to actually decrease significantly your sex hormones. That will affect your strength. That will affect your gains. All the major health organizations, another reason why I don't agree with McDougall, we're talking about the American Heart Association. We're talking about the World Health Organization, the Institute of Medicine, for instance. These are, to name 3. They all recommend between 20 and 35% of your calories coming from fat. Now they're talking about obviously your maintenance needs, because that's what your body needs to maintain health. So look at your base maintenance calorie needs and 20 to 35% of fat from that. You increase your fat intake, and I've had plenty of viewers tell me this. This is based on research, that's why I'm suggesting this. But then I have viewers come to me and tell me, Cory, I took your advice on increasing my fat intake. I'm feeling better, I'm looking better, and I'm stronger. Do it. Drop the McDougall diet, give my advice a go, increase your fat intake, and come back to me in about, like, say, a month, 2 months, and let me know how it went for you. You don't have to go overboard. Just even 20% of your maintenance calories from fat intake. Not 5,000, 6,000 calories, your maintenance needs. 20% of that, and let me know how that works for you. I bet she'll give me the same feedback that everyone else has. Okay. All I eat is bread, meat, and cheese. That's not very good for you. Justin, add fat to your diet. Nuts, avocados, they will help in absorbing. Exactly. What Tex-Mex SPM is saying is true. Fat is also important for the absorption of your vitamins and minerals that are fat absorbed. They're fat soluble. Like, for instance, like vitamin D is an example of that. Fat is important. You need fat for your health. That's why I don't agree with McDougall. That's one of the reasons that I don't agree with McDougall. The other one is his overgeneralization about starches and starch intake, saying how it's the ideal diet for everybody, or implying as such, when there is research that shows that some folks simply don't have the AMY1 genes to produce amylase at a rate fast enough to be able to digest starch carbs without putting them at risk for gaining fat. They've shown research, there's a good number of people that have this problem, and they do better with fruit than, say, with starches like potatoes or rice. Anyway, looks like Hammering Hank has just arrived. Let's see here. Okay, they're having a talk amongst themselves here. Let's see here. Does Tara lift? She did it one time. She was also a rock climber. She doesn't do any lifting at the moment. She's kind of stopped that. I guess she got bored of it. I don't know, but she wants to get back into it. I'm actually writing her a workout program that she can use in the gym, for her body. She has specific areas she wants to, and like most girls, she wants a general workout program, but she wants one that's going to focus on the booty. So, okay, then I can work that out too. I know all the great exercises for building a butt. So, hey, you know what? I reap the benefits from it. So her butt gets better, I'll benefit from that. So hey, I have nothing against that. But I do have a problem with women who only work their ass and their legs. You do have other muscles too. It's like with guys who only work their chest and their arms. You have other muscles too. You don't want to develop an imbalance. Work everything. But if you want to prioritize certain muscles because you feel like you want to accentuate them, that's perfectly fine. And like I mentioned earlier, I got an arm training book coming out for folks who want to prioritize their arms and want to do it as fast as possible without drugs. So, let's see here. Can I do boxer splits? I haven't heard that terminology before. Then again, I don't do boxing. So I can kind of do the regular splits, but I can't go all the way where I'm totally doing a full split. I've never gotten to that point yet. And yet my kicks are still high enough to hit tall people in the face. So, yeah. Anyway, if you like teas, I'm not sure what this person's saying. I can't read that word. They're great. It's fermented tea. Maybe that's the brand, Pure, P-U-E-R-H. I'll have to look into it. I can't do triceps isolation exercises without pain in my elbows. It's always been this way. Are compound exercises like bench press enough? Kind of. Dips are better. Dips are better, at least according to EMG research, for what it's worth. EMG research shows that there is a significant activation of the triceps from dips, more so than close grip bench or regular bench. But, you will still activate your triceps during bench press. But, do all triceps exercises hurt you? Like push downs, everything? Because, I found that even when I get an inflamed elbow for one reason or another, even from fighting or something, Push downs don't seem to bother it. You know, if you just do some dips and push downs and forego overhead extensions, you can still build up your triceps. Rope push downs work the long head of the triceps more so than any other push down variety. Dips work all three heads of the triceps. So let's see here. Even Tex-Mex is asking, even kickbacks hurt you. That's a good question, because kickbacks are, especially if you put that twist at the end of the kickback, that what they call the retro version of the kickback, that actually works the long head more than overhead extensions. Like, it significantly burns the long head. Again, EMG shows it has I mean significantly fucks up the long head. It makes it hurt. So just some thoughts there. There's so many ways you can lift for the triceps that you don't have to do extensions if that's what's giving you a problem with your elbows. But Cory, my dad has high cholesterol, but he wants to go vegan and doesn't know what to eat. It's plenty, vegetables, fruit. I mean, like, really, anything without meat, like, just get your proteins, have him get his protein sources from like soy or from beans or from, even from nuts, even from greens. There's protein in greens. If he's not an active guy, like if he doesn't lift weights, he only needs the RDA from protein. So he can have more carbohydrates per day than a bodybuilder might do, who has to put more calories, allocate more calories towards protein. Cory, I'm going to start wrestling and karate. Any advice? Wrestling is going to be competitive. You're going to get physical, full contact in wrestling. But when it comes to karate, find a school that actually spars. There are Shotokan schools. There are Goju-Ryu schools. There are, obviously, Kyokushin's all about sparring. And Shin karate, Ashihara karate. These are all offshoots of Kyokushin. Find a school that emphasizes fighting, that emphasizes contact fighting. They might look at sparring like, for instance, where you have somebody who throws a blow and then stands there and lets you counter. That is a form of sparring, but it's not freestyle full contact sparring. That's technique work. I really consider that technique work, because there's nobody resisting you. So you've got to find a school that does full contact sparring. If you're, but if you do, I don't care if you're taking karate, I don't care if you're taking taekwondo, I don't care if you're taking Muay Thai. Any martial art is going to be benefited from actually applying what you're learning, and there are hard schools for those striking arts. Muay Thai, generally, they all fight, but with karate, there are very specific styles of karate that fight all the fucking time. And some of the shit they do can make, Muay Thai fighters turn their stomach. Like some karate, like Kyokushin, for instance, there's bare knuckle fighting. Bare knuckle. No boxing gloves. Bare knuckle. That shit hurts. So there are some pretty hard schools, core schools out there. Any advice for finding a place to learn martial arts? Well, like I was telling him, shop around. Find a place where you have a chemistry with the school, with the teacher, with the other students. You feel like you don't feel like an alien, or you don't feel like you are an outsider. That can happen in some places. So find a place where you just feel like, hey, I could fit in here. Find a place that trains hard, that works on the basics, that works on application, that works on sparring. And really, that's what's most important, is you got to find a place that actually shows you how to use the martial art. Having all this technique in your head, even getting it down to a reflex, is great, but without actually applying it against a resisting person, or even hitting bags as well, because I've seen people who have trained, say, in Taekwondo for a better portion of their life. They don't really train with heavy bags. And then the first time I hit the bag with these people, their wrist collapses. They don't know how to hit a solid surface. The fuck? These are like 2nd and 3rd degree black belts in Taekwondo that have never hit a solid surface. That's baffling to me. You've got to train against resistance and against resisting erratic, unpredictable people. That'll prepare you for the streets, and that'll prepare you for tournaments, and will also condition your body to take and give damage. If you are a female looking to get toned but not huge like a bodybuilder, do you think that daily cardio would be a good along with weightlifting, or would it interfere with muscle building? It does interfere with muscle building. insofar as if you do them back to back. My advice would be is do your weight training in the evening and your cardio in the morning, or vice versa. Your weight training in the morning, cardio in the evening, or on different days. So like you lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you do cardio Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, maybe on Sunday as well. But really, gaining muscle is not as easy as everyone thinks. You know, it takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work. There's a lot of bullshit trainers that will spew things like, you know, oh, you want to get toned, lift high reps, you know, lightweight, and do more cardio. No. You can lift heavy and not get big as well. It all depends on your diet as well. So diet is really a big important factor. For a girl, hormones are going to be an issue as well, because you don't have the testosterone levels that guys or women on steroids have. So you're not going to gain muscle like they will naturally. So really, in my opinion, muscle building comes down to your diet. Not if your training is important, but really your diet as well. That determines how fast you're going to gain, or if you're going to be losing weight as well. Your diet's really that equalizer, you know, when it comes down to it. I mean, you can be weight training with great form, you know, progressing with strength, lifting heavy weights, you know, doing some moderate weight work as well, and go nowhere and be spinning your wheels if your diet and your sleep aren't on. So really, there's so many elements that go into it. I would just say, you know, maybe eat maintenance calories, throw in some cardio a few days a week. Don't overdo it, and watch how your body changes, and gauge what you should do based on that. Move forward based on that. If you find you're getting too big too fast, cut back your calories a little bit, maybe increase the cardio a little bit instead of cutting the calories back. Don't affect your weight training, you know, but work with the calories, work with the cardio, and see how that changes things up. You know, it's all about finding what's going to work for you. Even with my clients, I give them the science. I give them the routines. I show them how to build their diet, but gain from there to find out what each individual client needs, because it's not one size fits all at all, man or woman. It's not one size fits all. You can think of, I don't really eat breakfast. I mean, my first meal of the day, I guess particularly breakfast, but I just have what I would, you know, what most people probably consider a lunch. You know, I don't know. It's all personal preference, to be perfectly honest. I don't really think breakfast, lunch, dinner. I just make my meals based around my macro needs. Do you think a construction worker can be vegan because of the immense high amount of calories they need to get in such a short period of time? If they ate all day, they would not get any work done. They can be vegan. Yeah, there's calorie-dense food in the vegan world, like nut butters and seeds and nuts and seed butters. Those are all really calorically dense. There are high-calorie foods. Peanut butter shakes would be a best friend. Like, for instance, if you're on the job, maybe you can throw back like a big weight gainer shake. You got some protein in there, you know, the protein powder, or blend in some silken tofu, some peanut butter, some bananas. Maybe do it all in coconut milk, which is going to add some more calories because of the higher fat content. Blend that up. That right there is like a meal replacement shake right there. And it's going to be higher in calories because of the extra fat content. I don't see why that would be a problem. Everyone seems to think that vegans need to eat all day long. I get in 2 to 3 meals a day, period. It's not that hard. Let's see here. I'm trying to convince my father to go vegan. He has heart attacks once and some problems. Shame. He's been a bit hard-headed. He's been fit all of his life, so it's pretty clear it's the diet. Yeah. Yep. Gain muscle and avoid drugs. Like Tex-Mex is talking about gaining muscle and avoiding drugs. I agree with that. I mean, unless you're going to be a competitor or you're an athlete where having that edge and being on par with your peers is your livelihood, and taking drugs just to look good, I don't see the point in that. Now, if you are, like I said, a professional athlete and all of your peers are using drugs, and you can't keep your job, you can't keep your income, you can't support yourself or your family if you don't take those drugs too to be competitive, that's a different story. You know, I don't have anything against drug users. I just think people should be advised on what the setbacks are of taking drugs, what is required, what you will have to do for the rest of your life if you do take them for a long period of time, or even just once, and weigh those benefits and risks, you know, toward what you're getting out of it ultimately. And if it's just to look good, you can look good without steroids. So, what do you think of saturated fats from coconut? I was thinking that I should go for monounsaturated or also eat saturated. A little saturated is not going to hurt you, but I would by and large try to avoid 10 to 12 grams a day. I think it's going to be fine. You know, I don't think it's a problem to have a tablespoon of coconut oil per day when you're cooking. I don't think that's a problem at all. What's the McDougall diet again? McDougall recommends 80-10-10. So 80% carbs, 10% protein, 10% fat. Doesn't seem to specify, from what I can tell, what caloric intake that relates to, which is so arbitrary because 80% of what? 10% of what? It's very arbitrary. You know, are we talking a deficit here, a surplus, maintenance? How much of a surplus? How much of a deficit? What's he getting at? It's gonna vary based on all those factors. That's why I think percentages are so arbitrary. And when I tell you 20% of fat or more from your fat intake per day, I mean from maintenance calories. It's a specific amount of calories for your maintenance needs. But he also recommends a high amount of starch. Like, I think it's called a starch solution, the diet is. And he's saying how it's like the optimal diet for everybody for health, when in fact there are a good number of people, at least 40% of the global population, doesn't produce amylase enzyme well enough to be able to digest those starches often. So it does lead to, it is correlated with an obesity risk. So anyway. So people kind of talking amongst themselves. We've been going for about an hour now, so I'm going to cut this out. I got a lot I got to do today, guys. But thank you all for tuning in. Again, down in the description box, if you guys want to get on my protein shake PDF and get on my mailing list with that, that's down in the description box below, and it's free. If you want to donate to my Patreon, that's also down below, and also the link to my Vegan Muscle Academy is down below. And I will see you guys next week for another Q&A. And I'll keep you guys posted on when my first book is coming out and when those t-shirts and tank tops will be coming out. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next week. Take care.